Hi guys, so I'm back with another video, and this one's going to be called Love Unequally. And this is definitely something that I had to learn in my life personally, um, actually recently too, but this is revelation and just, what God has been teaching me over the years. So we all know as Christians the scripture, about being unequally yoked. And for example, 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, it says, "Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness?" I really just want to come on here to just kind of explain, what that really means. So we all know that God is love. And I'm going to go to 1 John chapter 4, verses 7 through 21. I'm going to read it. It's kind of long, but I'm going to read it really quick. And it says, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love." So I'm going to stop there. So we know that God is love. He is love. You want to know the definition of love? A lot of people go to, I can't think of the scripture off the top of my head about love is kind, love is patient. I'll link it below. That is love too. But who's the definition of that? Is God. God is the definition of love. So if you're ever in like wondering what real love is and how is that and how that feels and what love is, God is love. So since God is love, the only way we'll ever experience real love is if we know God. So basically with that scripture, not being unequally yoked, as a believer, if we're with someone who doesn't believe in what we believe in, and this, I promise you, this is not to cause any type of divide, but revelation, rather, because I know for me, in my own life, in my own experiences with love, I've been unequally yoked. At the time where I was, often I realized, it's crazy because often when I've gotten into a relationship when I was unequally yoked, it was in a season of my life where, I don't want to say where I was kind of like, kind of like doing my own thing, but at the same time I was. And you know how Christians, we fall down, we get up, we may wander off, but it's always going to be something in us that brings us right back home. You may be the prodigal child or the prodigal son, the prodigal daughter, for a season, but you'll realize, what am I doing? And you'll come right back to the Father. It's in us all. As believers, we're His, So, and I often realized the relationships that I was in, unequally yoked, was in those seasons of my life where I was, I guess, considered that prodigal daughter, when I was kind of like making my own way, choosing my own path, just not really giving room for God in that area. I was just making my own decisions when it came to that. And it wasn't that, like, the guy that I was with at the time wasn't a good guy, and it wasn't that, they didn't have good qualities. It doesn't mean that they're not good people, but it was more so a lot of my relationships ended. I noticed that, there would be a time where I'd come back to God while being in those relationships, or try to like get my life together with God, because even though like I've always been Christian, and I didn't always get it right, you know what I'm saying? And like, I may have met these people, or these guys may have come along, and we got in a relationship in a time or a season in my life where I wasn't putting God first in my life, like I should have, like I know I should be. But I've always come back, I never stopped coming back to God. I always came back. know what I'm saying? And like they didn't really understand that. You know, they didn't really respect it. They tried, but it all came down to a lot of my relationships ended because of that alone, because they didn't understand the importance of who God was in my life ultimately, even though they met me in a season where he kind of wasn't shown that he was number one. And this is like really like not even in the past year, but really over the course of since I started dating, over the course of my life, you know, it was kind of like that. A lot of my relationships ended because of that. And like in no way does it mean that they're bad people. I don't, none of them, but it just didn't work because of that. So I say that to say this: if God is love and we're with someone who doesn't know God, how would they know how to truly love us? How would they know? So that was pretty much really my message about love unequally. You know, that's been a big thing for me. I think especially now or in like the past year or so, I have been kind of dealing with that. That's been something that I've been learning. Because like I like as a woman, I can't really speak from the male perspective, but as a woman, I know like we I don't want to say we sort of kind of live by emotion, but we're very emotional beings. Like, I mean, everything we do, we attach emotion to it. Almost everything we do. So, I mean, that's just us. And I know, like, you know, women, especially now, I can only speak for women because I'm a woman. We go hard for love. You know what I'm saying? We go hard for love, and a lot. And you know, like, I want to say, like, I understand what it's like to, you know, feel like you're never gonna get the one that you deserve because you don't see it. Ultimately, it just seems like every guy that comes along is just a guy that potentially will have you in a situation where you're unequally yoked. And it potentially makes you want to settle because you get tired of waiting. And like in my personal life, it's happened to me actually more recently where I was tired of waiting, so I was willing to settle for the lesser than to wait for who God has for me. And it ended so bad. I learned what I needed to learn, but through that all, ultimately I went, you know, I wandered off. I kind of like wandered off and went in a circle just to get back to the same position where I'm back single again and back in the same place where I was before I decided to settle. And I guess my biggest advice to you guys is don't settle. It's not worth it. You're gonna go in a full circle just to end up where you started. And yeah, God may use it to teach you some things and you may learn a lot from it, but it's not worth the extra hurt or the turmoil or just the extra frustration, the confusion. And a lot of times what produces out of these unequally yoked relationships is like just it kind of leaves you, I don't want to say broken, but it leaves you in a state of kind of off put. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't really feel like this in a relationship. And ultimately, you know, when you're ready to, you know, be in love and be with that special someone, I mean, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just not worth the settling. Honestly, it really isn't. So if ever you feel like, God, I'm on my last straw, I need you to, do something, bring my husband, bring my wife, whatever. Hold on. Just go ahead and vent to God and talk to him, and let patience do that perfect work in you. Because let me tell you something, I haven't yet, reached that place, or I'm not married yet or anything, or I'm not with the person that God chose for me yet, but I know when he does come along, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth the wait. So never get tired in the waiting, because that's a real thing. Waiting may seem easy, but when it comes down to push come to shove, when it hit the fan, and you're like, all right, all right, God, because it's been a while and I'm still holding on. But let me tell you something, it will be worth the wait. So just don't settle. Don't go through an unnecessary process that could be avoided if you would have only just been patient and wait on the Lord. And there's another scripture that I have. One second. There's another scripture that I have. It's from Habakkuk, and I've shared this in previous videos before. And it's in Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 3, and it says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it. Wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry." So just don't get tired in the waiting. It's just a season. It's just a season, and it'll all be worth it.